The competitor analysis was one of the most challenging and interesting parts of the Mr-Mak Learning business plan, in part because many of our competitors were also our existing clients. The business schools are a great example of that client-competitor dimension. We were already designing and delivering incredible content to the business schools because of our ability to explain things as business people and not as academics. So the demand for our services actually exceeded what we could supply. We're making decent money from this, but we knew it wasn't scalable. We knew Mr-Mak Learning posed a significant threat to the business schools. Most of their revenue came from what they called the executive education programs. And each module of content on one of these programs typically cost more than $1,000. And usually there are a minimum of 8 modules on these programs. Now you had this uppity startup called Mr-Mak Learning offering much better digitized content on exactly the same module for less than $8. Yep, on Mr-Mak Prime, our subscription service, you could get all the 8 modules plus much more on our catalog for $8 per month. This was bound to threaten them and to potentially compromise our existing relationships with them. We didn't want to sever them just yet. So we offered an elegant solution. We argued that the digital content on Mr-Mak would actually enhance their own offering in a blended learning format, and that the overwhelming bulk of our clients on Mr-Mak would never have been their customers anyway because of the price points that they put in the marketplace. This external communication with our direct and primary competitors temporarily allowed us to co-opt them into acting as a distribution channel for us. And once learners got a taste of the quality of our offering and the value we offered, even if the business school didn't onboard them, they did it themselves. The other primary competitors were existing online learning platforms. And here, Mr-Mak Learning's differentiation was unmatched. Firstly, our platform's positioning was key. We were a premium business learning platform, contextualized specifically in Africa and plugged into the global economy. None of our competitors offered African contextualization. And context is key to understanding and effective teaching and learning. Secondly, was the Mr-Mak way of crafting and curating our catalog through storytelling. Every module on Mr-Mak opens with a story. We weave the storytelling capability into the heart of every module. It's incredibly effective as a teaching method, even when the subject matter is technical. And it injects a humanity, a humor, a vitality into a content. Again, none of the incumbent online learning platforms, both local and global, came anywhere close to this. Our catalog was also very Africa specific. Agriculture plays an outsized role in most African countries. So we offered content focused on this via AgriMak. So does tourism, so does sport and the business of entertainment. We tried to weave as much African contextualization into our content as we possibly could. Now that's an ongoing process. It's not going to end. We will always be creating content that's specific and resonant to our chosen markets. Our third comparative advantage was pricing. African markets and people don't have the purchasing power of Americans or Western Europeans. Pricing a digital learning module at $40 as many of our competitors were doing means you're effectively irrelevant in the markets Mr-Mak Learning targets. At launch, our monthly subscription on Mr-Mak Prime gave you access to the entire catalog for a mere $8 or 120 South African rands. That meant for professionals, for students, for a wide variety of users in Africa, in Asia, globally in fact, the service was highly accessible. And you didn't even have to subscribe. You could buy each module on an individual basis if you wanted. Again, on price. None of the local or the international players even came close. Finally, and critically, was the marketing piece. For both the business schools and our online competitors, their marketing was bland and predictable. It was stale. There was no character to it, no humanity, no va-va-voom. But at least they had a marketing machine in place. We had nothing. So we designed our marketing to be very personable from the beginning. Even the name Mr-Mak was meant to inject a persona into the brand. Me, someone likable, seasoned, who knows his stuff, who wants you to do well, who wants Africa to thrive, who's got deep roots in the continent, someone who feels, who's made of flesh and blood, who loves his children and identifies that you love yours too, someone gutsy, independent, looking out for your well-being, and someone tough in a number of respects. He's got high expectations of you. He's only looking for people serious, not just about learning, but most importantly, about implementing what they learn. So with our limited budget, we crafted a marketing and an advertising campaign that captured all these aspirational values. I shared of the inheritance of education I received from my grandmother and my father. And we gave people a taste of Mr-Mak through our free offerings on pillars like Mac Money and Mac Entrepreneur. Many of these free users have subsequently become subscribers and paying clients. And their word of mouth, their support on social media and other channels really propelled the awareness about our offering. We knew we really had to do something different on the marketing front. Our competitors had a much bigger marketing budget. Many of them had international backing from well-resourced head offices in Europe and America. Their brands had been active in the market for some time. Our goal was simply to make our brand stand out. And we did this by making it more likable, saying the Mr-Mak brand is built for Africans and by Africans, top quality and of incredible value. And as they say in Masvingo, finish and klaar.